Hey everybody, what's going on? The first preseason weekend in the NFL is officially under wraps, and all most people can talk about is how all the rookie quarterbacks performed in their debuts this weekend. So we've got a perfect top 10 rookie quarterback list for you today on how they performed this first preseason of NFL football. And we are going to start off at number 10 is Devin Leary from the Baltimore Ravens. Now, you can't really expect too much from a guy who's picked in the sixth round at pick number 218. Obviously, this was something that they needed to do because their other backup quarterbacks, Tyler Huntley went to Cleveland, Anthony Brown went to the Raiders. They needed somebody other than 37-year-old Josh Johnson to be their official backup quarterback. So they take a shot on Devin Leary. I was excited to see Devin Leary and to see what he could do. And let's just say that I was underwhelmed. Devin Leary came out. He threw 6 for 10, not bad, completed 60% of his passes, but only for 37 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and he did take 1 sack. The only bright spot, if you can call it a bright spot, is that he had 1 rush for 1 yard and 1 touchdown. That's the best stat line that he had of the night. At number 9 is New Orleans quarterback Spencer Rattler. Now, Spencer Rattler was picked in the 5th round overall at number 150. Spencer also had an underwhelming performance. He was 9 of 17, only completing 53% of his passes. His passer rating was the lowest out of all 10 of these quarterbacks at 63.4. He too had 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, had 1 sack. His only bright spot was that he had 2 rushes for 8 yards and 1 touchdown. So Spencer Rattler comes in at number 9. At number 8 was Drake May. May was selected number 3 overall by the New England Patriots, and I put him at number 8 really because we didn't see a whole lot of him. He only played 1 offensive series. He went 2 for 3, which was nice. 19 yards, which was okay. He didn't have any rushes, didn't have any passing touchdowns, didn't have any interceptions, wasn't in there long enough to get a sack. So I think it's just too limited. Let's see him for a little bit longer than 1 offensive series. Maybe leave him in there for a quarter or a half. A lot of these other quarterbacks played longer than that. At number 7, we've got Michael, my name is not Chris Pratt, who was drafted by the Green Bay Packers in the 7th round. He was the latest picked quarterback at number 245. Pratt was 5 for 7, which was great. He completed 71.4% of his passes, but only for 46 yards. He also threw no passing touchdowns, had no interceptions, no sacks for him either. His passer rating was an 89, but again, it was with limited throws. He only threw the ball 7 times, but he did complete 5. Obviously, Green Bay isn't thinking that they're going to use him anytime soon. They've got Jordan Love. They just gave a gigantic contract to. He's sticking around long term. But there's probably going to be some value that they see in Pratt, again, having selected him in the 7th round overall. At number 6, we've got Michael Penix Jr. from the Atlanta Falcons, who was selected at number 8 overall, even though the Falcons had just given Kirk Cousins a gigantic contract for the next 4 years to come down and play. So why not select a quarterback in the top 10? Penix completed 9 of 16, which is 56%. He threw for 104 yards, but he too did not have any touchdowns. Did not have any interceptions, no sacks. He didn't even try to take a run. So he looked okay. Not bad, not good, work in progress. I think that's what you're going to kind of expect from Michael Penix Jr. At number 5, yes, Caleb Williams. I know a lot of people are, look at all these throws by Caleb Williams. Oh, it was so amazing. Look at how many yards he threw for. Okay, here's what I saw. I saw his first NFL pass in the preseason was into triple coverage. Did he wing it in there? Yes. Did he hit his man? Yes. His second pass was a dump-off pass that he barely threw for 5 yards, and the guy took it for an additional 50. So let's not get too hyped on Caleb Williams just yet. He completed 4 of 7 passes, which was 57%. That was for 95 yards as well, but most of them came on yak yards after the throws, and he had 1 run for 13 yards. Yeah, no interceptions, no sacks, but he didn't have any touchdowns either. So he's your number 1 guy. Let's quit hyping him up. He had a pretty okay, mediocre performance in his first preseason game. He was able to scramble out of the pocket once or twice. He was able to find some wide receivers. But overall, I would say his performance was pretty basic. At number 4, we've got the guy who was picked behind Caleb Williams at the number 2 overall spot, the Washington Commanders, Jaden Daniels. He too only had 1 drive, much like Drake May. He too only completed 2 of 3 passes. He completed it for 45 yards. He had 1 run for 3 yards and a touchdown. Didn't have any passing touchdowns. Didn't have any interceptions. didn't have any sacks. I do have him a little bit higher than Drake May. He looked a little bit more comfortable in the pocket. He looked like he had that second aspect of his game, just like he did in college. He threw for 40 touchdowns. He ran for 10 more touchdowns. So that's why I've got Jaden Daniels, who looked very good in his offensive series with the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels at number 4. At number 3, we've got a guy who seemingly has come out of nowhere and coincidentally was the second quarterback drafted by the New England Patriots. And it's starting to look like what the Washington Commanders did when they drafted RG3, and then they drafted Kirk Cousins a couple of rounds later. Well, Joe Milton was drafted in the 6th round at number 193, and he came out. He only had 54 passing yards, but he did go 4 of 6. He had 1 passing touchdown, no interceptions, no sacks, and he averaged 4.5 yards per carry. So Milton looked very impressive, maybe even more impressive than Drake May. Maybe if May would have played a little bit more, he could have shown us a little bit more than Joe Milton. But coming in at number 3, Joe Milton from the New England Patriots. And now we're down to the top 2, and I love this aspect because when you're listening to guys like Colin Cowherd and all these other talking heads, they talk about these 2 guys, and they're like, oh, well, the only reason why his pass completion was so high is because it was short dump-off passes, or he's too mechanical, and he's just not going to make it in the NFL, and he didn't pass as many times as this other guy. I tell you what, these 2 guys, and I praised them. I liked both of these picks in the draft last year. At number 2, I've got Bo Nix. He had the most completions. Yes, he also had the most attempts, but he had the most completions out of any rookie quarterback last weekend. He had a 103 passer rating, which was 3rd for qualified all quarterbacks that played over the weekend. He had 1 touchdown, 6 yards per carry on 3 runs. He had no interceptions, no sacks, drafted 12th overall by the Denver Broncos. And Bo Nix, I got to tell you, going 15 of 21 for 71.4 completion percentage. That is exactly what he did in college, and it's what he's going to end up doing in the NFL. Love seeing that from Bo Nix. Gave me a little peace of mind as I was bragging about Bo Nix over the offseason. I loved that performance by Bo over the weekend. Your number 1, if you're keeping track at home, is J.J. McCarthy. And this was a guy, again, who I thought was right up there. I could have seen him going. Heck, I could have seen him going number 1 overall. And let's face it, being in Michigan, he was coached by a professional coach already. Jim Harbaugh was in San Francisco, for those of you that don't remember. Now he's in LA coaching the Chargers. He was this guy's coach. J.J. McCarthy comes out, and I'm watching this game, and he's looking pretty good. And then he throws a pick. And then you can see on social media, well, there's your J.J. McCarthy. Good job. There's J.J. He's throwing picks already. And it broke my heart a little bit to see it, but boy, did this kid respond. He did so well. He had the most passing yards out of all of these rookies and 5th overall on the weekend, 188 passing yards. He completed 11 of 17 of his passes. That's 64.7%. His passer rating was a 116.8, which was 1st for all quarterbacks this last weekend. He had 2 touchdowns, the only rookie to throw 2 touchdowns. He did have the 1 pick, but didn't take any sacks. He had 2 rushes for 18 yards as well. So he had wheels. He had a great outside run to the right. Wow. Picked 10th overall, J.J. McCarthy, Minnesota Vikings. If this guy, and I said it, if you have not heard my podcast, I still don't think that J.J. McCarthy is going to start the season as QB1. I think Sam Darnold is going to end up starting, but their season, their schedule is so hard in the beginning. The first 5 games before they hit the bye week are so difficult that I could realistically see them only going maybe 1-4, and they decide to switch gears, go to J.J. McCarthy, even if Sam Darnold is playing okay. McCarthy is the quarterback of the future. He showed it in this first preseason game. I hope he continues to show it. Really excited for JJ and the Minnesota Vikings to see what they can do this year. Thanks for checking out this video. Go to YouTube, go to Spotify. Those are my longer podcasts. Otherwise, check me out on X, check me out on Facebook, or go to www.downfieldread.com for all your football information. Stay tuned, everyone. We are just getting started with the NFL season. Thanks for tuning in.